lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Roca Pizzeria on Government Street in Mid-City. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Handegriff along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kitchens back in the studio. Randy McKay, Scott Rabelais, Wes Reynolds all with us today. Gorgeous looking sunshiny day here in Baton Rouge and cooler temperatures. Holidays coming, Jimmy. We got
Man, it feels good outside.
It does, and we got look, your holiday menus here at Roca. We're gonna be telling you about that. A lot of good stuff.
Oh yeah, man. The holiday fair, man. Thanksgiving with Roca. You can kind of pick and choose what you want, or you can take the whole bundle. Roca's holiday table. Again, with a whole smoked turkey, gravy, 6 classic sides, all the sides, and the pecan pie, which serves 8 to 10. So you've got that. Or you can do the turkey and the pecan pie by itself, a whole smoked turkey, just the brine turkey breast with the pecan smoked turkey breast with herb butter. It's 14 to 16 pounds. Or the smoked turkey breast by itself. You know, the turkey gravy, the sides, cornbread dressing, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, potato au gratin, cranberry chutney, the herb focaccia, the Goody Company pecan pie. And also we got a separate menu, too, the Black Friday Eats, we call them over here at Roca Pizzeria. The smoked brisket, so pecan smoked whole brisket, barbecue sauce, creamy horseradish sauce, and 2 dozen slider rolls, 6 to 7 pounds after cooked. The Brussels sprouts, mac and cheese, Roca meatballs, and the spinach dip as well. So, the traditional holiday fare, or what we're dubbing over here, the Black Friday Eats, available for your holiday catering. And get your order in now through November 22nd. So that is Friday. Through Friday, we're taking orders. We need to know how much to cook, how much to order, and all that good stuff. So, and you can pick it up on November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving.
College football rankings came out last night. I pay, just enough attention it is to keep me up to date. I did a little bit.
You don't think it's important? Or you think
I think it's important, but I think
they're being consistent, or they're jumping around. Previous committees have kind of jumped week to week with kind of no consistency or base. They're kind of holding this year, to me.
They are. With the losses have been big droppers. Okay, BYU plummeted in this week's poll. We saw Georgia.
Where were they last week?
They were number six. Yeah. We saw Georgia take a similar tumble when they lost at Ole Miss.
Slip?
I think they should.
A 4-6 team at home.
I think they should slip. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. I got no problem.
Me too.
With them dropping. Tennessee, I thought, dropped about the right amount for losing at Georgia.
Tennessee looks like the odd man out
for the moment. They do, and
what do they have in front of them that's going to give them an opportunity to jump the others? Besides, losses.
Losses for the that's it. They don't have anything left on their schedule that's gonna pop for them. Unless
is that where you would put them? We're talking about SEC teams.
Yeah,
for the 4 SEC spots.
I struggle with it. It's the last thing I asked you yesterday when we were wrapping up. Is
I'm not asking you what they'll do.
Yeah,
you've seen what they'll do. They're behind.
I'm inclined to put them in front of Alabama because they beat them. And the strength of schedule is very similar. They play in the same league. The non-conference schedule, it's an NC State against a Wisconsin. I'm inclined to put Tennessee in front of Alabama because they won the damn game. And, everything else is pretty close. And that's why I asked you, we were, I think in the last segment yesterday, if it comes down to a Tennessee versus Alabama question, who would you have? I would have Tennessee. I think the committee will have Alabama if it comes down to that. If it's one versus the other, and what do we say all the time? Head-to-head's not everything. I can't put I can't put LSU ahead of Ole Miss just because they beat them. You got 2 more losses. But if everything else is pretty equal, then head-to-head should mean a lot. And that's my argument for Tennessee.
So,
and maybe it's a little hypocritical.
Vandy and Arkansas losses are comparable?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Okay, not usually, but they are.
Yeah.
And who is Tennessee's, the rest of their better wins? Because Alabama's got at LSU and Georgia.
Their best win, besides the Alabama game, Tennessee's best win is probably Oklahoma or NC State.
Well, that's where Alabama's better. That part of the resume, Alabama's better.
And I get that. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. Their strength of schedule is a little bit better. South Carolina's better. But you got to be more.
They're in the top. They're ranked now.
Yeah, you got to be more than 2 spots ahead in strength of schedule for me to forget about head-to-head.
We're looking past that. I mean, Wisconsin's better than NC State.
Yeah, but not by a great, huge margin.
At Wisconsin.
Wisconsin would win.
At Wisconsin it's tougher than NC State 50-50 crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, so everything is better for Alabama minus the head-to-head. So will the head-to-head trump it?
It should, because I think it's close enough that it should.
I don't think it's close enough.
You don't think? Okay.
No. Wisconsin win is better. Wisconsin on the road is better than NC State. That's one thing. Okay? Georgia, they have no win like Georgia.
They don't have a win like Georgia.
Okay, that's 2. Do they have wins at LSU?
No.
South Carolina?
No.
Okay, that's 4 things minus a head-to-head.
Yeah.
That's big.
Overall, your strength of schedule, which is being weighted down by Kentucky and Mississippi State, those 2 teams at the bottom of the thing, even with all of that, the computer says, if we're going to believe that the strength of schedule is 16 for Alabama and 18 for Tennessee.
You can even throw LSU out. Though we've seen LSU; it's a capable team at home.
They are,
and I mean, guess what? Too, they killed them.
Yeah, they
killed them.
Yeah,
they killed the team that beat Ole Miss.
Blew them right out.
LSU hadn't lost at home besides that, huh?
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean that's Brian Kelly's only loss, and I mean they destroyed them when the place was. I mean that's come on, man. That's more. That's more.
It is. I don't think it's enough more to trump Tennessee's win.
Yeah,
the strength of schedule difference.
Tennessee's got. And look, we talked about Alabama's schedule this year, and it's funny how everybody else is talking about it now. With the expanded playoffs, the variance in schedules are massive. Alabama's one of those neutral schedules. Right. They're in between. They're not one of the we know the three, but Tennessee's one of the weak ones. Tennessee's one of the weak ones.
They're weak because Kentucky and Mississippi State are or Kentucky in particular is way worse.
That's the way it goes. I mean, NC State sucks this year. They're usually better than that.
At the beginning of the season, we thought Kentucky and South Carolina, we thought Kentucky was a little better, right?
Okay,
preseason.
well, we're killing Texas. Oklahoma and Michigan are way better than this normally, but they're not. So don't give them the benefit of the doubt.
I don't have a problem with Alabama's schedule at all. I think it's a good schedule, and I think Tennessee's schedule is a top 20 schedule. That's what the computer says. Their schedule strength is ranked 18th. Maybe that's a little bit high, but it's not. It ain't Texas's schedule. It's not in.
It's behind. It's third easiest in the league behind Texas and Missouri.
That's not what the numbers say. The
number you're talking about some of the weaker teams like Arkansas. Florida. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the toughest. I mean,
according to the computer, Tennessee's played a harder schedule than Ole Miss, which is hard to swallow. But that's what the computer says, and a lot of that is because Ole Miss's non-conference schedule was absolute drag. Okay,
Wake Forest and NC State ain't that much difference.
No, but the other 3 that they played like Middle Tennessee and Furman, and it's dragging Ole Miss's overall strength of schedule down. I think they played Georgia Southern, was not very good.
Did you watch the team that Tennessee played last night?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did.
Chattanooga, Kent State. I mean, don't try.
Oh, Kent State may be the worst team in college football.
Well, and UTEP. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
those are not dregs.
That's all. They are.
I mean, what are we talking about, Charlie? You can't tell me Ole Miss's drags and spit out Kent State, they have a worse power rate. The worst power rating in the history of Division I, according to Chris Andrews.
And I watched a little of the game last night. I have no problem believing that. All I'm telling you is that the number the committee has in front of them is Tennessee's got the 18th best schedule. Ole Miss has got 29. A&M's got 24. If we're going to go strength of schedule, that's the number they're working off of.
Ole Miss has a favorable schedule compared because they didn't play Alabama. They finally shook them. So that was a start. But they played Georgia.
Yeah, they did. And again, some of the teams that you look like a good win, like or a good game. Ole Miss has lost to LSU.
Ole Miss
when
is
they
a
had
bad
it look,
loss. I mean,
yeah.
LSU has Ole Miss is a bad loss.
The Kentucky loss is an
a
awful
bad
loss.
Yeah, it's a 1-17.
Yeah, and the LSU loss is getting worse. It looks a lot worse now than it did 3 weeks ago. LSU's lost 3 straight games.
You saw that game, though.
I did.
Did LSU play better in that game than
they did?
I mean, they got some breaks, but come on, that's a different team than what we saw play Saturday.
I agree, but if the committee brings it down to a number, they're going to say LSU 6-4.
Tell me a better game that LSU played this year.
Maybe
best game they played.
Maybe Arkansas, but
really,
did
you see Ole Miss play Arkansas?
I did. I did.
It's a track meet, dude. They had 700 yards.
LSU,
it's the best game they played, Charlie.
It's the best
it was at
team.
home.
It's the best win. I'm not going to.
No. It's the best they played. Now, home field happened. I mean, you want to go through the guys that had their career night on defense? Some others.
They played really well on defense in the second half. They trailed the whole way. They won the game. That was the only play that they led on was the last play of the game. This is their best win. Ole Miss is a really good team, and LSU beat them. I can't.
You don't think that's the best they've played, the highest level they played this year?
No, I think they played better at Arkansas. They played better at Arkansas. They dominated that game.
You sat with me. No, you didn't sit with me at Beau Rivage. We sat at Beau Rivage and watched Arkansas. Did you watch Arkansas Ole Miss?
I did.
And you're going to tell me the level of competition.
I also watched Arkansas give Texas all they wanted and beat Tennessee on that same field.
Texas played terrible.
Well, Texas was actually who I wanted to talk about. Because more people are noticing, hey, by the way, when they're in the middle of bitching about Indiana's schedule, they're like, hey, wait a minute, Texas really hasn't played anybody. Like they're discovering this for the first time.
I know. Well,
they're like, oh, wait, hang on a second. You started with that in June.
Yes.
So a lot of people are discussing. It's like, wait a minute, if Texas A&M wins that game, and by the way, why wouldn't Texas A&M have every chance in the world to win that game? We looked up the line at the show on Monday.
I couldn't believe it.
We were shocked to find that A&M right now is a 7.5-point underdog to Texas. Give me some of that right now.
Yeah,
because I've watched Texas go on the road to play a whatever Arkansas team, an up and down Arkansas team, and struggle with them. I watched them go to Nashville. Vanderbilt's improved, but let's be, honest.
I wouldn't say that was a late touchdown. Make it that close.
It was, but let's say they won at Vandy by 10.
I'm just trying to be fair, Charlie. They got a turnover early to cash it in for a touchdown to give Vandy a 7-0 lead. I mean, it wasn't the toe-to-toe that Texas has had,
But it wasn't a blowout either.
No. But it was a comfortable win. It was a comfortable. The final score is a little bit misleading. I'm being fair.
No, that's fine.
I'm trying to be fair. I mean that was.
Well,
I will say this: Arkansas was more of a threat to beat them Saturday than Vandy was in that game.
Let me ask you this: What if DJ Lagway would have played in Austin?
We'll never know.
No, I think Texas still probably wins, but they certainly don't win by 30.
No.
The way they did with the the Ivy League transfer. So
no,
they've caught some breaks. They caught Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma's been terrible.
No, Florida without Lagway, you have to without Mertz or Lagway, you have to put that down. That has to be noted when you talk about that.
So to me, this is real easy. If Texas if Texas wins, they're going to be in the SEC championship game. So, you got to give them their due at that point. But if they lose to Texas A&M, I have no problem leaving Texas out with 2 losses. None.
They should be, but guess
they
what?
Won't.
That's why they're up there so high.
Yeah.
To create cushion because they want them in. I'm playing politics on this one. There's no reason they should be that high. There's no reason they should be the number 2 seed. Should not be the case. Now, I mean, where are they at the overall ranking? The overall, not the seeding, but the actual ranking. 3? 3. Yeah, behind but Oregon and Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, in the
3.
That's right. Ohio State.
Okay.
Oregon,
I mean, the actual if the bracket was now,
right?
But it's now. That's what we get.
They're 3.
3.
They're 3.
They, how should they be 3? And if
why? Because they've only lost 1 game. That's why.
Well, Indiana's lost none.
Get it.
Well, they played a comparable schedule.
I can't have Texas with 2 losses in the playoff over any of the other SEC teams with 2 losses. I just can't. I mean, that's what
we talk about.
We had to do
line.
eyeball test last year. We think Florida State without the quarterback. So our eyes tell us that they're not as good with the backup quarterback in there. Okay, fine.
Some people getting upset about it. We'll talk about this when we come back from the break. But some people talking about the lines. Well, there's some things that you have to take into consideration when you talk about these lines because we'll see about that. Don't forget our friends over here at Roca Pizzeria. I mean, again, holiday, you got until this Friday to put your orders in for holiday cooking. It is outstanding. We've got the turkeys. We've got the smoked turkey breast, the turkey gravy, pecan pie, cornbread dressing, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, potato au gratin, cranberry chutney, herb focaccia bread, and the Black Friday eats as well. Smoked brisket, Brussels sprouts, mac and cheese, Roca meatballs, the spinach dip as well. To go to rocapizzeria.com for more details or stop on by because you got to get your order in by this Friday. You can pick it up the day before Thanksgiving next Wednesday.
Live at Roca, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, the new LouisianaSports.net. Also, new Handycast was dropped Monday night, complete review if you want to see the hows and whys of the Florida game. We can take a look back at when they were playing different defenses and why Kyron Lacey was so upset and better look at the 4th down and 1. A lot of those things are highlighted in the Handycast from this week on YouTube right now. Jimmy, if the playoff did start today, it would be some of the more interesting venues that we could have imagined for December. Is there anywhere where it wouldn't be snowing? So
what's the matchups again? Bama at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Bama at Notre Dame. Georgia at Penn State.
Yeah.
Who's at Ohio State?
BYU on
BYU. No.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're counting on BYU winning the
they
Big
count
12.
on. Say Colorado. Let's say
Colorado. Yeah.
Let's go with Colorado.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, because they're favored. I don't know. I don't know who's favored in the Big 12. They're going to go to Kansas and Arizona State.
The Big 12.
Let's just say Colorado at Ohio State, and then who's at Indiana right now?
Where'd it go? Ole Miss.
You have road favorites, huh? Is Bama going to be favored at Notre Dame?
Yes. Can I guess? Or if it just right off the top of my head, see Alabama be a touchdown favorite?
No.
More? Way
It'd
more?
be lower.
Oh, lower.
On the road, Charlie.
I understand.
Well, give 4 points.
Okay.
No, they would be a slight favorite.
If Alabama was playing Notre Dame in the Superdome, I'd have no problem laying 11 points.
How many Alabama players played in 30-degree weather or low 40s?
Probably very few, without looking. Very few.
You go play in the 30s in Penn State. You see those games at Thanksgiving weekend. This is December 20th and 21st.
Yeah. There's still a
Bloomington, Indiana. Now, Ole Miss will be a favorite there. But how many of those guys? You got to go back to Laquan Treadwell's gone. He came from Chicago.
Lane Kiffin have to go dig his Sun Bowl coat out of the closet from when he was at USC to go play.
You don't think that's an advantage for the home team?
I think it's an advantage, but
you don't think it's all that, huh? The Big Ten.
It's a factor. I can't say it's not.
They
a
have
factor.
been dying to play on their terms against SEC teams forever.
Yes,
forever,
without
forever.
Question. And I think you would have. I had this argument with a guy in Las Vegas. Not an argument, but just a discussion. One of the reps at the casino, and he says, "Man, these 2 years will be the only 2 years that you ever play games on campus." He says when they go to 16-team playoff, everything's going to be at neutral sites because they're not going to draw at these on-campus sites in December with the students gone. I said, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. There would be no tickets available.
I can't tell you what they're going to sell in Bloomington, Indiana, because they've never had a game anything resembling this. I can't imagine there'd be an empty seat. I know if the game was in Oxford, there wouldn't be an empty seat. I know if the game was in Athens, there wouldn't be an empty seat.
None of these places that have an empty seat.
I don't think so either.
Who argued that? That's bad.
One of the guys that was bad at the casino. But how much would the weather affect it? Would you have a drive in snow, or would it be a milder night? I don't know.
A mild night in late December in Happy Valley, Bloomington. You've been to South Bend?
I have.
What was the date for that LSU game we went to?
It was November.
It was freezing.
Yes, it was.
A little snow coming out the linebacker doing a show.
A little wind, and I'm being nice by saying a little wind. No, it would be a factor. I can't argue that. How much of a factor? I don't know. The sun. There are people that cover Indiana basketball that swear that the sun never shines. You ever heard that? The sun never shines? Ask Wes Reynolds. The sun never shines on Indiana basketball because the sun doesn't come up in Bloomington between October and March. It's that cold.
We'll ask Wes about, getting the people up there.
Yeah, I think that for a game of this magnitude, it would be absolutely huge. So if you're talking about snow, you're talking about wind. Don't you talk about power running games and physicality, and wouldn't the SEC be just fine there? If these games turn into, who's going to win it up front, I'll take Alabama and Georgia and Ole Miss in those situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If the wind or the snow drastically affects your ability to throw the football, I'm gonna saddle up Jalen Milroe and I'm gonna run him 30 times. It's a playoff game. We got to go to work. That's what I'd do.
Saddle up your quarterback.
Yes. we only ran you in a couple of games this year.
It's true.
The ones we really needed to win, that's when
one
we
of
got
the
on
things you do is self-scout, right? And that's kind of from the Bama perspective. It's not so much at LSU. Yes, it's part of. They certainly noticed that it looked like Chinese arithmetic when they put in the running quarterback at College Station. But it's more self-scouting and getting back to, hey, let's put this guy in what he's most comfortable doing. You talked about it right now with some of these read option quarterbacks struggling in the NFL. How are you going to draft Milroe really high and expect him to be somebody he's not right now? Anthony Richardson you were expecting him to be something he wasn't in college.
Right. Now, to be fair, we said a lot of these same things about Jalen Hurts, and
Jalen Hurts had how many starts?
Oh, a bunch. He started his first 2 years, and then not the third year, and then the fourth year, approaching 40. Now, Milroe will end
How
up
many
with
passes did Jalen Hurts throw in his college career compared to Milroe?
a significant amount more.
A lot more.
A significant amount. A lot of them sideways that first year, but
that was the first year. Lincoln Riley,
he got better. Absolutely. Well, you got me thinking about something though. Disrespect to BYU, but boy, do I want to see. I would love to see Colorado and Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter go to the shoe. And let me see those two cats. Let me see Travis Hunter run against that Ohio State secondary. Let me see him cover those Ohio State receivers.
but the thing is, we're that you're looking at they're only getting in if they're a conference champion.
Yeah, they have to win the conference.
They'll have a bye. They're not going to play in this round.
Not true. Boise State is ahead of them.
Oh! If they went on the road at Kansas,
they went on the road at Kansas, and then they got to beat Oklahoma State.
And then they win in a Big 12 championship game against a team that's more highly thought up. That UNLV's in the ranking now.
Yeah.
That helps.
Boise State gets the bye right now, and as long as they win out, if it's a multi-loss Big 12, see, they got Boise State in front of BYU, and both of them have one loss. Colorado's got 2 losses. That Nebraska loss is dragging on that ticket right now from early in the season. I know it's a long time ago, but it still counts. Boise, man, Oregon needed 2 return touchdowns to beat them in Eugene.
I know they were down.
A punt and a kickoff return touch, and then they win it at the gun with a field goal. I mean,
no. It gave them all they could handle at their place. A very tough place to play.
Right.
No, the number 2 seed, that's their loss. It was same loss.
Yeah.
It was a 2-point loss instead of
So you would have it'll look bizarre, but Colorado would go to Ohio State, and the winner would go to Boise. And I think Ohio State would beat Colorado, but I'd love to see Travis Hunter against those guys. I'd love to see Shadur Sanders against those guys. And then it would look really bizarre to see Ohio State have to travel to Boise, but that's what would happen.
That's just the Big 12. I mean, going to be interesting. Where's Big 12 championship game is still in Dallas?
They move it around a little bit. I got to see where it is this year. Sometimes it's in Kansas City. Sometimes it's in Dallas.
It hadn't been out. It hadn't been out of Dallas in a while, Charlie.
Really?
Yeah.
I lose track of that.
You're going back to the Missouri, Kansas days.
I remember watching them play some of those games at Arrowhead when it was like 4
Kansas
degrees.
State, Oklahoma. Charlie, that was 2003. That was been
places in.
No, it's been. They hadn't moved.
I know that
once Nebraska left, they had no reason to leave Dallas or San Antonio. So I think it would. I know.
Yeah, it's at
Jerry World.
Yeah, it's at Arlington.
Yep. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, the Legacy Title for all of you real estate closings. 296-0060. Full service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get every time you call 296-0060. Chad Reynolds, the Legacy Title. 296-0060. Brandon McKay when we come back.
Hasn't been out of Jerry World since 16. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch. With Ott and Hanny from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, let's get up to our big dog, Randy McKay. Randy took it on the chin last week. I hope you did better on the other picks, man. But 0-3 last week on the pick. That is unlike you. You know we're gonna bounce back. Cincinnati was a tough one. Tennessee, Randy, I was with you. Tennessee is not a team that can survive 3 touchdowns being affected or resulting in a penalty. Keeping a drive alive that resulted in a touchdown call back, and, well, they fell just short. So how you doing, big dog?
Well, sometimes when you get hit in the mouth, get bloodied up and down and a little bit, you got to rise back up and come back with some nice picks. But once you submit these picks, anything can happen in these games with the variance. You can get on the wrong side of the officiating. You can get on the wrong side of a turnover. Your team can commit dumb penalties like Tennessee did. And that's kind of the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, we get a sack. They sacked him so much. And illegal contact, really. You keep the drive going. It resulted in the other touchdown. It was interpretational whether a guy it was a legal formation or not. Come on, man. It was just that's just a team that can't afford those, man. 21 points, spot the other team 21 points. No, that's not the roster to do so. So anyway, and then Boy, Joe Burrow, he's just got to be perfect, huh, Randy? I mean, he missed a couple of throws or a key throw, but damn it, I mean, he was lights out for most of the game. He has no room for error. He's the top-rated quarterback QBR, the leading passer. Mike Lombardi says he's having an MVP season, but they're 4-7 now.
Yeah, and they had it on their racket there once they tied the game about 5 different times. There were a couple missed field goals and, other stuff there. And, of course, we know Lou Anarumo is a good defensive coach. He just doesn't really have the personnel up that he had in the past years, and he's not getting the turnover luck that he did before, too. So, that team is so hard. And that used to be one of our cash cow teams the last 2-3 years. So unfortunately, this year it isn't.
Randy, do you buy in the bounce back theory? Well, I mean, Kansas City going against Carolina this week. I mean, that's going to be a massive, massive public side, I would think. What's your thoughts about Kansas City rebounding after their loss?
Well, I think they'll bounce back, but I don't think they're going to bounce back by more than 11. So that I'm going to officially make that one of my plays here. And I actually bet this some last week on the look ahead at plus 11.5. I was hoping for a KC win here, but this Carolina team's getting more healthy, and they've won 2 in a row, and they're getting a Thielen and this young running back Brooks into the lineup. So they're actually getting more healthy on offense here. For Bryce Young and company, who needs weapons more than anything, and I just, this is a physical game for the Chiefs to come off and then go down against a team they should beat. But this is Carolina's Super Bowl, so we're seeing an inflated number here. I see Carolina covering this game, probably losing by a touchdown.
All right, who else are we looking at this week in the league?
Yeah, we've got Seattle early at a pick'em. It's still at a pick'em. Didn't really bounce the line like I thought it would. This has been a home-and-home series. Seattle usually wins the home games. Arizona plays better at their toaster oven there against the Seahawks. But I like to play against sometimes a team that comes after a bye that's been hot before the bye, and this is a situation here. This Arizona team, I think they won three or four straight before this game. Big game for the division here. This division could go either way, and Seattle didn't come after the 49er win, didn't come off too banged up. So I like the Seahawks here. I think this line should be closer to 3.
All right, I'm big on this Arizona team though. I got to tell you, I took a little bit of them to win the division, and I took a little bit of Coach of the Year. And, I mean, the one thing I think – what do you think about the job that the coach has done, man? I think he's done a heck of a job. Murray, is he actually maturing a little bit in his approach? The reports that they had the reports in, it's digital. He never even turned on his laptop and looked at, studied his playbook and stuff like that. But Connor, man, he is just have that you're getting that running game every game. There's a real nice but I just think they're playing smart and playing hard this year.
Yeah, and they played real hard last year, just that they didn't have the talent and it was the first year, and he kept them competitive last year. They overperformed against the spread and overperformed against coming into that year last year even, they looked at one of the worst teams of all time with what they looked, but they exceeded expectation there as well. So, he's doing a great job. Some good excitement there in the Valley of the Sun. So, it's a tough team to bet against. I just figure this is a good spot to go against them. And then, on the flip side, probably when Seattle goes down to Arizona, Arizona will take care of them.
We always talk about the benefits that teams get from a bye. You get a rest, you get a little bit healthy. This might be one of the times where a bye, they really didn't want it. They were playing so well. The Cardinals had won 4 in a row, 2 back-to-back blowout wins against the Bears and the Jets. they were rolling. It's almost like you don't want to stop when you're playing that well. So coming off a bye here after 4 straight wins.
But coming off the bye, I know that's something you kind of knock down a little bit when they kind of stop, kind of curtails the momentum, like Charlie's alluding to.
Yeah, I like to fade against teams that come in hot after the bye, and it's been successful for me. And on the flip side, some of them teams need a bye, though. Don't you think the Jets need a bye this week? More than anything,
the Jets need a bye from here to next Labor Day.
Yes. The Jets want to play on week 0. Yeah.
So there's teams that really need a bye going in. So, and San Fran really needed their bye, and got a little bit more healthy. But that game was a good game last week with Seattle and the San Fran.
Who else you looking at on this week's card, the NFL, for your third pick?
Third pick, what's it, Sunday Night Football here. I'm going to lay the short price here with the Eagles. I laid the 2.5, and that's going to be tough to get now. There's a couple places. One, South Point in Vegas has it. But if you can get 3 even, that's fine as well. This Philly team comes off more rest. And this Rams team actually had a very tough game, even though they won and covered in New England. 2 offensive linemen went down in that game, are questionable going into this Eagles game. So, this Eagles team has been able to rush a quarterback, cause havoc. And if they can get in Stafford's face here, they can make some trouble here for getting the ball to Nakua and Kupp and all them other guys. So if they can't run the ball, the Rams are going to struggle here. This is a rematch of last year where the Eagles went in there and won 23-14. And this Eagle offense is starting to come together. Got Dallas Goedert back, starting to play well. Hurts playing smart football instead of some of his dumb football that he plays. So I see another style game here, 23-14. Philadelphia in this game probably matched last year's score.
Getting your offensive tackle back, Saquon Barkley handing it off to him, getting you easy throws, with your tight end to Goddard. Oh, and how about that big behemoth from Ole Miss, A.J. Brown? He's nice to have in there as well. So, no, when they've got the supporting cast, he's got a lot. And then forces him to play within himself instead of overextending himself, because he was a turnover machine when they had some guys out. There's no doubt about that. So he's been a source of a lot of conversation, debate on this show, but now that he has his full allotment of weapons, he's performing much, much better. So the Eagles, after a little rest against the Rams. And yes, the one thing about McVay, man, McVay is going to run that ball. It's very important for him to have a little bit of success running that ball so he can do it. I do think that Kupp and Nakua are getting a little bit healthier, a little bit more in rhythm that we saw last week in New England. It was a great second half, Stafford throwing the ball, because New England was right there with him until he just lit it up the second half. Randy, we've been talking a lot about college football playoff rankings, and because the top 4 teams, it's been a major drop-off in the Big Ten to everybody else after the 4 teams that are projected to make it to it: Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State, and Oregon. The SEC has 7 or 8 teams that have kind of been beating each other up a little bit, so they're in the second tier. So you may have teams like Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee traveling in that first round of the playoffs to places like South Bend, Bloomington, Columbus, Happy Valley. December 20th or December 21st, the cold weather. People in the North been itching for their teams to get these teams on outside of Florida, where they usually play, maybe on December 1st or in a dome in the bowl games or playoffs, to have them in these cold weather situations.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch and fun to handicap. I can't wait to see some of these warmer teams go up there and play in the nice elements that we have, that I'm used to anyway. But it's going to be fun to watch. Let me throw a question back to you guys. What's the mood like in Baton Rouge these days?
Cheery. Cheery. Spirit of the holiday season everywhere around right now. Yes.
Yeah, big game there with Vanderbilt. Is Vanderbilt live coming into coming into the big house there and getting the victory, or?
Well, Randy, if they beat Alabama and they gave Texas all they wanted, there's no reason they can't beat LSU for sure this week.
Yeah, and that quarterback's really good for them. I've really enjoyed watching him play over the years at Pavia. So
he likes to run a little bit, right?
I think he might cause some havoc there for the LSU defense. So, yeah, that's the one I'm kind of looking at, maybe taking a +8.
And we wonder just how excited, how certainly it's not going to be one of these memorable Saturday nights in Tiger Stadium. Okay? It's the fan enthusiasm. If you took a poll right now, 65% want him gone?
I don't know if it's quite that high, but it's higher than it.
The majority?
Yeah.
More than listen, we the people that we know that's a 0% chance, and we try. Let me just say this: I don't know what the number is. It's way higher than I thought. Maybe we're myopic. Maybe we understand. No, I'm talking about. I told the guy at the Barrage, he might be able to lose every game the next 2 years. He's not going anywhere. I mean, that might be a stretch, but he's beyond safe. And there's 3 other guys that were hired at other jobs that are all they're not getting fired. Napier, we thought he was going. We're surprised he's staying. But Lincoln Riley's not going anywhere in USC. Venables ain't going anywhere in Oklahoma. All these guys were got hired by these schools at the same year.
This is the way
he's outperformed them.
Yeah, this is the way I've been putting it. He would be safe without the buyout. If Brian Kelly's buyout was 0, he would still be safe.
100%.
And should be.
100%.
Based on his overall record.
Yes, he should be safe no matter what. If you didn't owe him a dime right now.
Yeah.
Yes. No. I agree with that. I agree. We've been critical of some of his missteps, thinking that the school recruited itself and kind of allowing the roster to dip to this level, but, and not flat out not working is hard. So, not hustling, on a recruiting trip. So, so anyway, I just, the public approval rating has dipped considerably. There's no doubt. But Randy, tell me this. What's the last time you saw a game, 92 to 43 snaps and lose by double digits?
Yeah, and we got killed on that game in game. I remember that was one of our bigger positions we had on LSU last week. So, yeah, that game was really frustrating. And I think they fire these coaches way too early. So
he's not getting fired.
I could see brighter times coming here for LSU fans out there. It's just been kind of those where they just haven't gotten over the top this year. Even the game we went to against USC, they should have won that game.
So Carl Johnson, Jack Johnson was on with Lombardi and him Monday, and he basically borrowed our conversation. Carl's a dear friend of ours. We love Carl. I loaded up his grandson with all kinds of trick-or-treat candy this weekend. Trust me. Me and Carl are tight. All right, but he says, my guys told me, he said, listen, Mike, he said, there's difference between fan unrest and a hot seat. And that's what you have here in Baton Rouge. A lot of people pissed off. Okay, we've been critical before it got to this point, but it's not even lukewarm. Okay, not even lukewarm. We'll have to see. Could he be in a warm seat next year? LSU's not a place. It's not A&M. They don't have the oil. They don't have that money, Charlie.
There's an enormous amount. We're going to talk with Rabelais about this in the next hour on this recruiting class and how they develop and how quickly they get acclimated. And you've got a transitional quarterback.
I think conservatively 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. It depends a lot on how next year looks as to what the temperature of the seat is.
What's his overall conference record right now?
15-7.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, especially in the SEC. Yeah.
That's good. Now, maybe he's got it flip-flopped. Maybe they would have just accepted, get to the conference championship game this year and not so competitive. And I understand there's 2 more teams, but you did that to your first year. Whatever.
The damning number against is 2-7 in your last 9 against ranked teams. The games that really matter. You're 2-7 in your last 9 over 2.5 years. That's the one
against ranked teams.
Against ranked teams.
Yeah. All right, Randy. Thank you, buddy. Good luck to you, man. We'll talk to you next week. We'll talk to you. You're good for next week on Thanksgiving Eve, right?
Oh, definitely. I'm good. Yeah, I can't wait to eat some turkey too. By the way, I'm sure you guys got good Cajun turkey down there. I wish I was down there for some of that flavored turkey you guys have. But
Yeah, look, we need to. I'll put some oyster dressing in the freezer for when you come down again. Okay, I'll take care of you. Thank you, Randy.
All right.
Appreciate it. All right, live at lunch, live from Roca, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You want to talk about short-handed. The Pelicans have to play the Cavs tonight, and it's coming off the Cavs' first loss, but that's hardly their biggest problem. Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, Herb Jones, all out tonight. I don't think I've ever seen a team with the top 8 guys out that were injured, not like holding guys out on purpose at the end of the season. 8 guys. The top 8 guys, Jimmy.
They're done, dude.
Yeah.
Well, they're done.
No,
they're digging themselves a hole that they can't get out of. And this
before
is why,
Thanksgiving.
This is why Philadelphia is trying to, before Christmas. I mean, Christmas is the official kickoff day, for tip-off day. For some, you'll be done by Christmas.
I don't think I've ever seen it with the top 8 guys were all hurt. There's Snake Bit, there's Cursed, and then there's the Pelicans. Sorry. Scott Rabelais with us in hour number 2. We're at Roca Pizzeria on Government Street in Mid-City. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Roca, Jimmy, you might not think of a pizzeria when you think of Thanksgiving. That would be a mistake.
How about whole smoked turkey or the smoked turkey breasts, turkey gravy, cornbread dressing, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, potato au gratin, cranberry chutney, the herb focaccia bread, goody company, pecan pie, smoked brisket, Brussels sprouts, mac and cheese, Roca homemade meatballs, spinach dip with the tortilla chips as well. You can bundle them, you can individually, a la carte, whatever you want. We've got your holiday food, everything you need. This Friday is the last day to order over here at Roca Pizzeria on Government Street in Mid-City, or you can go to rocapizzeria.com and put in your order.
Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from the Advocate. Rab, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. It's hard to be too despondent over LSU football on such a beautiful fall day as this.
Yeah, the weather's fantastic. It's cooling off. Going to be a little cooler even this weekend. So if you had everybody excited, you might have one of those games at Tiger Stadium. But it's tough to get excited right now. Brian Kelly was on the teleconference just a little while ago, and there were a couple of things that he talked about. Besides the injury updates and all that, but it was communicating with the players, getting feedback. Those guys meeting on their own, and the coaches meeting with the leadership council, and it's kind of a circle of wagons kind of thing. I think this is 2 weeks too late, but you tell me what his tone was on the conference a couple hours ago.
Well, first of all, I would say his tone hasn't changed tremendously over the course of the season. If you ask me, when a 6-game winning streak or on this 3-game losing streak. I mean, we've seen him pound the table. We've seen him get a little worked up at times after losses. But if he's not upbeat, if he's not confident about the ultimate direction of the program, obviously this season is a disappointment, and he said so for the players, the coaches, the fans, everybody. He understands that it is a disappointment, but. One of the things he said, I'm looking for the quote here, that the guys are anxious to get back out and compete. I'm proud of the way they've responded this week. We've got to coach them better, which we've heard before. And he said he said based upon the feedback I'm getting from our leadership council, these are of course players on the team's leadership council, we're right where we need to be to build the foundation of our program. We've got to recruit. We've got a great class coming in, and recruiting is a huge piece of this, which obviously is the case. And I think you said that in so many words the last couple of weeks that he knows they got to get better players, and clearly they do. But as far as the team culture, structure, chemistry, he feels like it's good. Obviously, people are free to disagree. I think there's got to be some things that are awry. But this is a guy who's done this for a long time, and if he's pushing the panic button, he's doing it way off in private as compared to when he talks to us in the media.
Scott, this is an odd place to be for LSU football, and I say that because there have been very few 3-game losing streaks in the last 25 years. Okay, the ones that they have had have been at the end. The 3-game losing streak for Jerry DiNardo was at the end. The 3-game losing streak for Les Miles was at the end. The 3-game losing streak for Ed Ogeron was after he had already been fired.
After the end, yes.
Yeah, after the end. And Saban never lost 3 games in a row. So this is 3 games in a row that they've lost. The beatings will continue until morale improves around here, but he ain't going nowhere. So the other times we've dealt with this in the last quarter century, it's been with an eye toward tomorrow because that guy ain't going to be here. And so I think that's why the LSU fans are like, well, get rid of it. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's not happening. And it wouldn't be happening even without a buyout because of his overall record. So losing 3 games in a row is really hard to swallow, and that's why it feels like it does. But it's different than the other 3-game losing streaks because this time that guy's got to stick around and fix it. He's not going anywhere.
That's right, and that point has been made that with Miles and with
Jerry.
Jerry, those long losing streaks came very close to the coaching change being made. Saban replacing DiNardo and Orgeron replacing as an interim coach and the full-time coach replacing Les Miles, and then, as you said, Orgeron was already out the door when they lost 3 in a row late in the 21 season. But yeah, he's got to try to fix it. LSU's got to. It's a little like, if I may, it's a little like the recent presidential election. You may be happy with the outcome, you may not be, but everyone should hope for the incoming president to do the best job he can for everyone in the country. That is, there's no other choice. That's who's going to be in the White House, and that's the way it is. And I think that's kind of the way it is with LSU football. He's not going anywhere. The record is still too good. The buyout is much too great, in my opinion. They're still paying off Ed Orgeron through late next year. You got a lot of the guys to make it work. There is a very good recruiting class coming in, and at least if they hold it together, and that can be the basis of you got to hit the portal. Obviously, what is happening, and like I wrote recently, it's been kind of a whack-a-mole thing for Kelly. You fix this problem, another one pops up. For the 3rd straight off season, he's going to have to decide on whether to make major changes in his staff. Brian Polian, his recruiting coordinator, special teams coordinator, that was such a disaster in year 1. He left, but sure, let's find you something else, Brian. Last year, of course, the whole defensive staff getting sacked, and then this year it's the offense. Are there going to be changes with Joe Sloan and Cortez Hankton, who we kind of forget is the co-offensive coordinator? I'm never happy with co-offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators. And maybe some other positions too. Is Brad Davis in trouble because the offensive line has performed, that sort of thing? So we've got to see what changes he makes there. But as far as the guy at the top, it's his show still, and going forward for the reasonably foreseeable future to try to figure out how this goes and how he shapes the direction of the program.
I would be surprised. There'll be staff changes because there are every year, but I'd be surprised if they were at the top. They've got too much invested in those guys to move after one season. For Baker, it's the money, and let's be honest, he doesn't exactly have a loaded deck over there. And for Sloan, he's tied to Underwood. Now, they may reassign him, but I'd be surprised if either one of those guys went anywhere. What I would ask of Brian Kelly at this point is the lack of development of young players at some key positions that there was playing time to be had. If there was a young offensive lineman that really had developed, there would have been room for them to play. They only played out of necessity. If there would have been a young wide receiver that could have stepped up, there was playing time to be had there. Certainly in the secondary and really at safety, if there was a young player that was making progress in practice that deserved some playing time, they would have gotten in. And we haven't seen very much of that, and that's probably one of the most troubling things to me is I would like to – they're going to lose a lot off this team. I would like to have seen some more young guys step in these holes that they have on the roster, and let's get a look, and we haven't really seen very much of that.
I didn't hear him say this directly, but Nick Saban, I heard, said recently that one of the things that's changed with college football and the transfer portal is instead of having ones and twos and threes, you now got ones and threes. The twos are leaving, right? The twos are not getting, they're this close to playing and they're not getting what they want. They're going, feel like they can find that playing time somewhere else, that personal value, somewhere else. And so I don't disagree with you that more development could be made, but I think probably from the perspective of Kelly and his coaching staff was these younger guys are way too inexperienced to be of much benefit or not ready for bigger roles. Does your whole mindset have to change? Perhaps. Obviously, this has been a lot of change, obviously, in college athletics over the last few years post-COVID. So it's something that you may have to address now because the transfer portal is not going away. But I think that has contributed to it. Shelton Sampson, a very talented player coming in. Obviously, wide receivers can contribute early on, and he just hasn't contributed very much yet to the offense. And you're going to need him next year, right? You figure you're going to need him to be a major player next year, assuming he's here. Is he going to be here? That's the question. If not, if he transfers, and I'm not saying he will or won't, I'm just using an example, you're going to depend on someone even greener, to come up in his place. It's a real dilemma for every program, but especially when you're Brian Kelly at LSU and trying to build back up to a position of being a national contender. The question I have, Charlie, for you and Jimmy, is can LSU be a consistent national player, top program again, or are they just consigned to being a program that gets hot once or twice a decade? The rest of the time is losing 5, 4, 3 games a year.
I'd like to tell you that there is a consistency that is achievable here, but that's never been the case. The entire history of the program, I mean, even Saban, he won the SEC in 2001. Right. They lost 5 games in 2002. Now, the Mock injury had something to do with that, certainly, but they won the national championship in 2003. They lost 3 or 4 games in 2004. So even the greatest coach that's ever, put on a headset had a problem with keeping it year to year. But the pieces are in place. It's not like, I can remember the old Don Nehlen teams in West Virginia. Boy, every 4 years they'd pop. He'd take a class and he'd just nurture them along, and by the 4th year they were ready to play.
That's how Auburn is.
And
in the SEC.
And that's a lot harder to do now.
Been.
Yeah, and that's a lot harder to do now than it was back then because you can't keep a class together for 4 years if you start playing them as freshmen. They start leaving. But, I think it's possible, but it's never been done before. I mean, not at the Miles was consistent, but he was consistent in that second tier as a
second tier. What do you mean second tier?
I'm talking about behind the Alabamas and
Nick Saban was at Alabama.
Okay,
everybody was behind Saban at Alabama.
They were. Scott's asking me, do I believe that LSU could be a top 5 team every year like Georgia or Alabama has been? And I'm saying, I think Georgia. The pieces are there. But it's never been done. I mean, Miles didn't have him in the top 5 every year for 10 years.
Well, I think that the landscape has changed where you have more lower resource teams that are capable of having good years. And an
Ole Miss can pop now, like this year.
Your rosters are more year to year. Charlie, I give LSU a little bit more credit of being consistent. I know they had, 08 was it was a dip, and 02, you saying? In Saban?
02 was yeah.
Okay, he still went to the Cotton Bowl. I mean, that was a pretty decent bowl.
They lost 5 games, though.
Okay. Well, they lost 4 in the regular season.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah, they were playing 11.
Okay, 7-4. All right, that's a bet. That's a dip. Look, man, they've won. They hadn't had a losing season.
Right. Yeah.
In all those years. Okay, that's certain. Michigan staring one right in the face. They could go down.
Yeah. Florida's had 3 losing seasons in a row. Losing seasons in a row.
So in that era, you're talking about 2002, Florida was killing us.
Right. Right.
So I think LSU has been very consistent. What you're seeing, though, more and more, they're dipping a little bit on their players in the NFL with years. They're not producing the NFL players like they were. I don't know exactly the 5-year period. Was it like 13 to 18 or 10 to 15?
Like 11 to 16.
11
for
to
sure,
16.
Because that 11
where they had
team,
the most players in the NFL.
That 11 team.
They've got the top level guys.
Right.
The Burrow, the Chase, the Jefferson. They've got the top guys, but they're kind of dipping down a little bit. And I think just the rosters where it's year to year. The 2 teams that played for the national championship last year are going to be 6-6, both of them, probably this year, Washington and Michigan. And so it's going to be a little bit more of a roller coaster ride for everybody, including LSU. So I still think LSU is. I mean, Brian Kelly's getting everything he needs here. Okay, he's got to go work. Okay, that's the thing. Saban worked. And, I mean, he's got to work more. And, but LSU can be, over a 10-year period, in that top 5 range. I don't see why they wouldn't. Overall, the 10. It's going to be a little bit more peaks and valleys, but, yes, I think they're capable of it. It's not a given.
No,
it's not a given.
It doesn't automatically happen. Rab, what do you think Saturday before we let you go?
I don't think LSU can lose. Obviously, Diego Pavia, this has been a game people have been looking at for a while, thinking, this is more dangerous than you thought. It's funny, isn't it, how, LSU didn't get Auburn and Miss-State on the schedule. They've both been bad this year, and they get Vandy when they're as good as they've been since under James Franklin, or better, rather. I don't know. I still think LSU is going to pull out a win. Maybe it's just a night game at Tiger Stadium, and it's Vanderbilt, which is not beating LSU here since the 50s. I don't know. I know they don't play very often, but it's just still. I just can't wrap my head around it. I think LSU pulls out a game. Something that's if they can just generate some more offense, just get the offense more balanced, and get a few more big plays. I think they win, but I think it could be close. It could be like certainly I expect a 1-score game either way. But I'll take LSU to win. I'll take LSU. What are they favored by? What's the spread right now?
9.
Yeah, I'm not going that far.
Right.
Not going that far at all. I'll take LSU by like 5.
They need points, Rab. They've had offense. They had the ball for 2/3 of the game. They need points.
That was remarkable.
All of that.
That was utterly remarkable. When you get to the end of the game, you look at those stats. It's like, and they got 16 points. It was like that Saints game they lost when they had the more rushing yards and outgained the team, and the previous 275 teams had won, and they lost. It was like that, They need points, but I think they're just talking to the players, just the guys, especially Will Campbell. Our Wilson Alexander had a good Q&A with him. They're pissed off, and they're hungry for a win. It's been a month. And so I think they're going to come out and give a good effort, a confident effort. I don't know, but I think they're going to come out and play.
Good, just in the nick of time. Okay.
I didn't say that. I just
I did.
Yes about this game.
Thanks, Scott. We'll talk to you next week. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
That's Will Campbell. Is that the rest of the team? That's a $1 million question. I got to believe that Vanderbilt is a little bit more excited to play at Tiger Stadium Saturday night than LSU.
Coming off an off week, too. Maybe recharge the batteries a little bit. We thought they ran out of gas against South Carolina.
No, they had looked tired.
Mm-hmm. They looked like they were out of gas.
They were playing a lot of competitive games and looked a little bit worn out. in their last one against South Carolina. United Community Bank, the local way to bank big, with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow, including their newest branch at Burbank and Blue Bonnet. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. Your business is our business. We support the hardworking folks at United Community Bank behind local business. From initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments, United Community Bank is here for you. Prentice Wilkes, Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, and David Henry. Give us a call and discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at Roca, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
All right, Wes, how you doing, buddy? Hey, congratulations, man, on the show last week, 3-0 in college football. Well done, to say the least, and a winner in the Denver Broncos in the NFL. Not bad. I hope you invested personally on your picks that you gave us last week.
Yeah, look, really good week, especially in college football last week. Been actually really good the last couple of weeks. NFL has kind of been, middle of the road this year. Haven't been able to really get hot, haven't gone totally cold, just kind of been treading water in the NFL all season.
35-14 Saturday. Indiana still in?
That might be a little bit borderline, but look, certainly they've become the topic of discussion. And it's really weird, Jimmy, because I think everybody was kind of embracing the Indiana story. Like, man, this is really cool. Somebody that's kind of been a moribund program is all of a sudden in the mix and undefeated and just keeps on winning. And the job that Coach Sig has done and everything about the program. But now, I don't know if Commissioner Sankey has put out the bat signal for some of the commentariat out there, because now everybody's coming after Indiana. They're all after us, Jimmy. All the commentators, United States senators, they're all after Indiana right now. Indiana bought a football team, even though 25 of the 31 transfers from Group of 5 or lower. So, everybody's coming at Indiana, but the way you shut those people up is go compete and even maybe go win at Ohio State. And I think that they have a chance to win. The market doesn't, because the number's up to 13, but look, I think they have a chance to win. I think Ohio State's getting some injuries on that offensive line. The Hoosiers' defensive line has really been the strength of the defense this year, and I think that this is going to be, at the bare minimum, a competitive game in Columbus on Saturday morning.
I've got a lot of confidence in watching this team execute and compete, that Cignetti will have his team ready to compete. They may lose. They are a slightly inferior roster, but they are not going to go in there like Navy did in the Meadowlands against Notre Dame, and where the stage is going to be too big for them. I just don't think so. I really don't. I'll be surprised, but I've got a lot of faith in that they'll be competitive. And look, it's fair though. I mean, if that was, what is the difference between Texas and Indiana's schedule? Indiana played. I mean, can Indiana lose any worse than Texas did to Georgia in this spot? Georgia and Ohio State are respected at the same level.
Okay.
And you're going on the road.
And the eyeball test tells me that you're right. The committee's numbers tell me that you're wrong. They tell me that Texas's strength of schedule is 38 and Indiana's is 106. Again, I'm trying to deal with the numbers that they're dealing with.
Okay, well, okay, here's one case. Florida difference with Mertzer and Lagway playing quarterback, or the Ivy League guy?
Yeah, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
That's one.
That's what they have to wade through, is things like that.
I mean, so, I don't know. All right, Wes, who we got this week in the college picks?
Yeah, and look, I probably will play Indiana. I'd like to see it get to 14. I don't think it's going to, though, so I'll probably be waiting forever for that. But a couple I did play, and it's only 2.5. I think there might be a couple threes left. I played Kansas. I'm going to go back to Kansas again. They went in there and they beat BYU on Saturday night. I thought BYU was kind of, their time was coming to an end as an undefeated, and Kansas hung on and won. And now you're going to have a lot of the general betting public, I think, want to lay that low number with Colorado. Because now Colorado is all of a sudden becoming a factor perhaps in the college football playoff. Even though they're a little bit down there in the rankings, somebody's got to win the Big 12. And somebody's got to get in that Big 12 championship game, and they're not in a bad position.
I was
around this team, Kansas for me.
Yeah, I'm on Kansas as well. And like last week, Paul Stone and I joined a podcast for Bet Rivers, and I was like, listen, I'm ready to fade on a team that has covered 7 in a row, but not this week against Utah. And I'll tell you, Utah's covering with 6 minutes to go with the ball at the 50 or at the plus side, and he throws a second down interception, and pop, Colorado knocks on 2. But they were in position to cover that game. So even more so, I'm ready to take the improved play Jayhawks in that one as well. Who else you looking at?
Yeah, one and a couple others. Boston College +3 against North Carolina. This is an angle. I don't play it every single game, but this is an angle I like to play at this point of the season. The game after a team does get bowl eligible, because there's a sense of like accomplishment, right? At least, hey, we know we're going to a bowl game and that we made a bowl game. North Carolina got that 6th win last week. Now they get Chestnut Hill to play BC. BC, by the way, was first start on the road because remember Castellanos got benched and went into the portal. They made a nice showing of themselves at SMU. They were competitive. SMU was life and death to hang on to that game last Saturday night. So BC at 5-5 under Bill O'Brien in his first year. I like them taking the 3 at home over North Carolina, who has obviously been very up and down and very erratic. Had some quarterback injuries. We know defensively that team can continue to struggle. So did play North Carolina. And then another one I did play, I'm going to row the boat, Jimmy. And I took 12.5. I think there's still some 12 out there and maybe even down to 11.5. I'm going to go row the boat, TJ Fleck, off a tough loss at Rutgers, but they did have a bye week last week. And I'm going to play against Penn State here because a lot of these lines with the teams at the top of the playoff standings are getting inflated. And Minnesota's pretty good defense. They can run the ball a little bit. I think that's a little high for the Nittany Lions away on the road.
Tricky spot. I agree with that. Getting back to BC for a second, quarterback departs the team because Castellanos and I don't know, something was it caught our attention. Is it a little bit more than just performance on here? Because man, when he got knocked out against Michigan State, I mean, they were fortunate to win that game. So there was a dip, from Castellanos on down. But can this be a little bit of a UNLV light type of response where it rallies the team, where your quarterback kind of, checks on out and it kind of sparks the rest of your roster?
I think it could be, and you saw it a couple weeks ago when he was taken out of the game and they put James in. This was against Syracuse, and they were able to run the ball effectively, and I think they'll be able to do that against North Carolina as well. And it's a Syracuse team that's not bad. It's a Syracuse team that came out here to Las Vegas and beat UNLV. Had that cross-country trip where they were getting over 10 on the road and beat Cal pretty convincingly last week. So, that's not a bad win. So I like the Eagles at home at Chestnut Hill taking that 3.
Wes, are looking at these, and it's early, next games to be played, but we're not that far away where you can have Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Indiana hosting some Southern teams like Ole Miss, Bama, Georgia, Tennessee in cold weather games, December 20th, December 21st. Have the Northern teams been, Northern college football fans been kind of wanting a little bit of a payback from always playing on sunny Florida or a dome on January 1st or these college football semifinals or finals?
It is kind of interesting if it ends up shaking out that way. And look, as much as I'm getting on the SEC folks and all you guys and gals down there defending the honor of Indiana and defending the honor of the Big Ten, look, there are a couple teams because they've cannibalized each other this year. The league, SEC, is usually the strongest league, but maybe it's a tad down this year. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that there's not really a dominant team in that conference this year. There's not an Oregon that I think is clearly the best team in the conference. You can make an argument for Georgia. You can make an argument for Ole Miss. You can make an argument for Alabama. You can make an argument for Texas. There's not that one team. So yeah, I think this is kind of a cool wrinkle if they got to go up to the north and, play in some potentially cold conditions and, prove that it just means more. Go ahead and win on the road, guys.
I agree with you part way. I agree that there is no super team like Georgia had a couple of years ago. Alabama has had them, has LSU, some others, even Auburn and Florida back in previous years. But I also think that I don't know if Oregon could have easily lost to Boise State at home. I mean, Boise's a very nice team this year, but come on. I don't know if Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State are that much different. What I do know, I don't know about all that. What I do know is 5-8 in the SEC is much better than 5-8 in the Big Ten.
I would agree. I was just going to make that point. I think the middle in the SEC is much better. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and you've seen these teams, even Florida, certain weeks, has been better because, the middle in the Big Ten is not that great. Like you would put Wisconsin there, you would put USC there. Nebraska, those teams are not that great. So the SEC, I think, from the middle to the bottom in terms of the depth have been better. Maybe not at the top necessarily, but the depth has been better.
Give us an NFL winner for us, Wes.
All right, I got a couple for you. Let's go Thursday night. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go against the Steelers, who keep finding ways to win these games and, did it last week against Baltimore with 6 Boswell field goals. I'm going to take the 3.5, and I think that could go up to 4 by Thursday night. I'm going to take Cleveland against Pittsburgh. I think that this is a little bit of a tough spot for these guys. Cleveland really disappointed in New Orleans last week. I actually thought they were going to win that game and just had nothing in the second half. But I think they get up for this one. And then I'm also going to fade almost the unfadeable, Jimmy. I'm going to fade the Detroit Lions, and I'm going with my horseshoes, the Indianapolis Colts plus 7.5. I think that there's some confidence from the team in Anthony Richardson. He played terrific against the Jets last week, and they had a good game plan for him, get him out of the pocket, get him on the run, let him make plays. He didn't really make very many mistakes last week. So the Lions, they've been cover machines, but that's a big number before the Thanksgiving game. So I'm going to take Indianapolis at home.
Boy, I tell you, the contrarian, the fade, the public, for an Indiana basketball fan, Dale Brown is smiling at you, Wes Reynolds. I tell you, you're my kind of handicapper. We're cut from the same cloth, no doubt about it. Wes, listen, I think Indiana's going to do fine. I think they'll lose. I think they'll lose under the number. I will be surprised if they get whitewashed. I've seen enough of them against whatever competition.
You know what I don't want to see on Saturday? I don't want to see a bizarre game. I don't want to see one that includes multiple special team scores.
Yeah, I don't want to see out of character.
I don't want to see 5 turnovers. I don't want to see 2 punt returns. I don't want to see 2 block kicks. I don't want to see an official's call decide this. Let them go toe to toe and let me see where Indiana is with them. The last thing I want to do is after this game go, well, they won or they lost by 2 touchdowns, but they had 2 blocked field goals or the call that went against them. Just give me a normal game and let me see where they are.
It's a major
Charlie,
jump up.
Take the win however I can get it, brother. We have
but you know what? This is
crook or whatever.
This is a moral victory, but a bigger battle at stake. As far as getting in, they're competitive. They're in. Yeah. I mean, I think, like you said, I think they're in regardless. I mean, it would take a whitewashing for people to be convinced. I've seen them good enough. I mean, one of the more impressive ones was, East Lansing, Michigan State 10-0, and I mean, kaboom. I mean, they went to UCLA and executed where some teams have kind of struggled a little bit with UCLA this year. I've seen enough of them to know that they're not backing down and they're not going to be phased by the big stage.
And we know better than to do transitive property of football, but let's look at both of their results against Nebraska.
Well, wait, you get in trouble with that, but no, there's no denying that. On back-to-back weeks, by the way. Wes Reynolds won, at Wes Reynolds won. Good luck to the Hoosiers this week. Wes, we'll be pulling for him. We'll see you next week.
You bet, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Don't forget our friends over at Electric Man Baton Rouge. ElectricManBatonRouge.com. Electrical work is not do-it-yourself type of work. At Electric Man, Hey, you need an electrician? We're licensed and insured. Quality service guaranteed. Quick repairs to full installations. We've got it all for you at Electric Command. Our sweeping electrical services only offer the most comprehensive and safest electrical installations for your residential and commercial utility needs. From electrical vehicle charging stations such as ECS or EVSE to sustainable energy setups for your advanced and modern energy needs, we have you covered. Installations, lighting, electrical safety, quality service, free inspection, licensed professionals, friendly technicians, provide free estimates, guaranteed scheduled appointments, good deals as well. Electric Man, BatonRouge.com.
Live at Roco, live at lunch, 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Thibodeau Store, ThibodeauStore.com. You shopping for Dad? Month-long specials all the way through Black Friday. Is Dad a cook? Well, the Cajun Cooking Specialty Cookware can be shipped right to your door. Go to ThibodeauStore.com. That includes the Cuisinart Chef's Classic Stainless Steel Cookware sets. They're on sale right now. Your savings on power tools and hand tools, anywhere from 10 all the way up to 50%. Drill sets, electric screwdrivers, wrench sets. The big portable tool storage cases are on special as well here all the way through Black Friday. So get online at ThibodeauStore.com. In addition to all the regular hardware services like key cutting and paint matching, they also offer propane services and screen and glass repair. And if you're looking to brighten up the home here at Christmas, they got all your Christmas decorations to take care of you at the Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. Their sister property, the Pierreport Store, just recently celebrated their 113th year anniversary. Shop it online right now for Dad at ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
LSU men's hoops with a win 77-68 last night against Charleston Southern. Max Gautreaux, resident McManiac, was in attendance. I watched the game, most of the game on TV. Cam Carter got into foul trouble early, so his minutes were limited last night. We got to see Victorious Miller probably have his best game so far. Max, when I talk about LSU basketball with people, they say, the one guy, the longest range potential probably is with Victorious Miller. But for now, we're talking about right now. So this game a lot more resembled the Alabama State game than the Kansas State game. That's fine. They certainly played around with their food a little bit too much last night. But there's also a school of thought, get the win. Don't stub your toe in these games that happened last November against Nichols. And, when we get into conference play, you got a team that's, I think, in the middle. I don't think they're in the top 7. I don't think they're in the bottom 7. I think they're kind of, what I've seen so far, they're kind of in the middle. But we'll get to conference play in a minute. What did you think of last night?
Yeah, we talk about sandwich spots in football. I guess this was one of those. At Kansas State, coming off that win, you've got Pitt, in a neutral site game up at the Greenbrier on Friday afternoon.
Which,
so
if they don't end up playing Wisconsin up there, Pitt is the top non-conference game on their schedule.
It may end up being better than Wisconsin anyway. Pitt right now is a 16 KenPom right now, so they're well respected so far with what they've done this season. You had 6 minutes from Cam Carter, 5 minutes from Jalen Reed. You mentioned they got in foul trouble, both around the 12-minute mark of the first half. And so Victorious Miller had to step it up. 13 points out of the 29 they scored in the first half. So he's more of an ISO player. He's got to generate for himself, and that's what they had to turn to with, some guys on the floor like Jai Bailey who are more defensive players, don't really create much. Sears, he had 11 minutes at least in the first half, but there's just not a whole lot of creation for offense that's on the floor when you have both Reed and Carter off the floor. But they did respond a little bit better in the second half. Were able to push the pace, got 48 points. So they're a team that when their set offense isn't always the most pretty thing out there, they were able to get in transition, as we saw in the Kansas State game, off of misses, really going at them really quickly, and they have 48 second half points to kind of hold off Charleston Southern. But it was a sweat down the stretch. 8 minutes to go, it seemed like anybody's ball game.
The other thing that they shot a lot less threes last night. Only shot 15 threes last night. They only made 4. I know the pace that they talked about playing with at the beginning of the season, it looked like a low number. I was a little bit, and maybe because Cam Carter, played limited minutes, but a lot less threes last night.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Mike Williams only gets 3 minutes. With the foul trouble that they had, I thought they would look for somebody like him when they needed offense. Miller did a lot of that himself, but I do think maybe they'd explore using Mike Williams a little bit more. He is probably their most trusted three-point shooter outside of Cam Carter, who's been phenomenal so far this season, but he's been in the program for a longer time. It just seems like at some point you've got a whole lot of players, and somebody's going to get the short end of the stick. Right now, Mike Williams is getting that. We didn't see Derek Fountain, who's still not ready to go, but Corey Chest, a little bit weak offensively. Does a lot on the boards, but doesn't really generate a whole lot of offense. So you have to find it somewhere, and I think maybe Mike Williams might see a little more playing time if we continue to see some struggles offensively like we saw last night.
Corey Chest has been the biggest surprise to me. He redshirted last year, and frankly, I wasn't expecting him to play a lot this year. But Fountain tweaks whatever, I don't know if it was a groin or a hamstring or whatever it was at Kansas State, and all of a sudden he's got to play. Well, he gets 13 rebounds. Wow, okay. So he's earned himself some more playing time, another half a dozen rebounds last night. Those are the guys, those glue guys, and what I see so far out of LSU more than anything is they don't have a superstar, but they've got a lot of good players, and they got a lot of guys that play hard, and they got a lot of guys that play defense, and they got a lot of guys that hit the glass. I can work with that, okay? My overall big picture thought is they're probably not one of the top 6 teams or so in the league, but they're certainly, I don't think, one of the bottom 6 teams in the league either. So they're going to be in that middle, and that middle is an NCAA bubble. I don't really want to talk about the tournament too much in November, but there are people that think that LSU's tournament resume is going to become very dependent on the non-conference schedule. If they're right in that middle piece of the SEC, then it comes down to your non-conference schedule. You've already got a nice win against Kansas State. If you could manage to get a win up at the Greenbrier against a Pitt or Wisconsin would be phenomenal, but let's be realistic. And then against Florida State and SMU, that your tournament resume may end up hanging in the balance on these games, and you can't go lose to a Charleston Southern who was absolutely god-awful. I mean, if you looked at their record, and, I mean, they had gotten blown out of pretty much every game they had played in. So not the prettiest thing last night, but you got the job done.
Yeah, I think we'll see how the backcourt develops. You've got 11 turnovers from Cam Carter, who's not really a ball handler, but Jordan Sears, he's come in at times, turned the ball over a little bit too much. We'll see if Curtis Givens develops a little bit, but they do have more ball handlers right now, more shot creators than McMahon's had in the past.
Victorious game.
Charlie, looking at this
night.
schedule in the conference play, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
It's a tough league. It's a good league.
Oh, it's a number 1 RPI league. It's early, but this is where your non-conference play is where you're dependent on strength of conference. And the SEC's number 1 by a good bit. But, I mean, you play home and homes with all 3 teams that are projected to make it to the tournament. Ole Miss, Arkansas, and A&M. All 3 of those are projected, so that's 6.
Are you projecting 9 teams out of the league to make the NCAAs? Is that it? But 9?
Well, Ole Miss, Arkansas, A&M, Auburn, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky. And is State going to make it again? South Carolina? I mean,
9's kind of the number I've had in my head.
I think 9 conservatively.
Okay.
Yeah, with such a strong conference RPI. And listen, we're learning in football. Same thing in basketball. You got a 16-team league. This has got to be one of the tougher league schedules.
Yeah.
9-9 is going to be tough in this league with this schedule. I mean, Auburn at home. These are your home games. Auburn, Texas, Florida. Florida's really good. I know they got a bunch of problems. They're good. Tennessee. Ole Miss, Arkansas. I mean, 7 of your 9. Your easy wins are Vandy and South Carolina. Vandy's your easiest game.
Okay.
South Carolina, is that a gimme?
No.
At home. I mean, then you got to go on the road to Bama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and then you got winnable games on the road. But Georgia, Missouri, Oklahoma. This is a tough schedule, man.
No argument, and a lot of you got to not break even, but you got to be competitive against that group, and you can't stub your toe in any of these really, really bad RPI games in November. So
yeah, don't forget our friends at Workbox Services again. My buddy Martin Padiel, can handle all of your movable storage needs. Commercial or residential. Our shipping containers come in various sizes, 8x8, 8x10, 8x20, or 8x40 feet, not just one size. Units can be customized for any use. Lunchrooms, offices, work sites for plumbers or welders or any type of workers that you have. Want to customize their own work areas. Dual purpose. You can do part office, part storage. Climate control, shelving, lighting, using different materials, whatever you need, whatever you want. Give my buddy, Martin Padiel, a call at Workbox, 343-4886, Workbox Services, and WorkboxLLC.com.
Live at Roca, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Roca Pizzeria on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Just because the list wasn't long enough, add Yves Misi to the injury report for the Pelicans tonight. He's got a sore shoulder, so he is questionable for tonight's game. Top 8 guys for the Pels are out against the Cavs tonight in Rocket Mortgage. And LSU left tackle Will Campbell, a finalist for the Lombardi Award. Those finalists announced just a little while ago. Penn State's Abdul Carter, South Carolina's Kyle Kennard, and Texas's Kelvin Banks, along with Campbell, 4 finalists for the Lombardi Award. Got Maction tonight. A little bit better.
One
Maction.
Game.
2.
Two.
Little
Ohio
bit
and
yeah, a little bit better than the last night's card. You got some of the better teams in the MAC going tonight. Buffalo is at Eastern Michigan.
Oh, that's right.
And Ohio's at Toledo. So everybody's got a winning record except for Eastern Michigan. They got a 5-5 record. So
Eastern Michigan trying to get bowl eligible again. 5-5 this year against Buffalo. They've gone to 3 straight bowl games, Charlie. 6 of the 8 last year. So a slight favorite at home. High scoring games for Eastern Michigan, the Eagles. So.
Thanks to the folks here at Roca playing your Thanksgiving menu around them over here at Government Street at Mid-City.
Got till this Friday. Closing time this Friday to get you in orders. You'll pick them up next week or next Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving.
Tomorrow with Jolie Pearl. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.